Can I get check in?
Wait.
Trying to pull them out of there.
Chester, hey.
Hey, how you doing?
Go ahead and check in for us.
Yeah, my name is Chester Hill. I'm just checking in. So
awesome. Good to have you with us, sweetie. Okay, now we're gonna get to, so anyway, let me welcome everybody that's checking us out. This is Free to Heal. I'm Noreen McClendon. I'm your facilitator, moderator, host, whatever you want to call it. Here with okay, boss is fine if that works for you.
That works for me.
But I am glad that you're here with us on another session of Free to Heal, where we are formerly incarcerated loved ones or children of formerly incarcerated, and we come together every week so that we can heal from the scars and the things that are left behind from our experience with the mass incarceration system. And so today, let me just say this, the people in the back, y'all back there, y'all, we each gonna try to, like the kids, y'all gonna behave back there, because if you don't, okay, well then go on the other side, go on the other side.
Those faces get me in trouble all the time. I'm just up here with you. Me and you.
Just so y'all know, y'all will be seen on camera, okay? Whatever y'all do back there, the camera picks you guys up.
See what I'm talking about? It's already. I'm with you, D. I'm with you. Me and you together.
Okay, so
Peanut Gallery is
the Peanut Gallery is in full effect this evening, y'all. Yeah, oh, we record. This all being recorded. That's why I'm saying. I was trying to give you guys a heads up that you're being recorded. Okay. So, look, don't you close your, clasp your hands together like that, like Polly Purebred at this point. It's too late. Sorry. Anywho, now, as you guys know, here at Free to Heal, this is a group for us. And anytime a participant in this group says to me that they have a topic that they want to discuss, it don't matter what I plan, whatever it is. And I also try very much to allow the spirit in the universe that's in charge of all of this to guide us with where we're going. So right now we have a participant that has a topic that they want to discuss, and I'm going to let Mr. Pike explain it to us.
Anyhow, I'm back.
He said anyhow.
Yeah, anyhow. You know, you would think being raised in prison with like 80% of my life that I would understand it's better. What I'm fixing to talk about is I can't understand racial people. One who takes, not just, I don't like him personally, he's a, you know what I'm saying? But let's say, I would say his whole race. You know what I'm saying? And all the time I was in prison and never joined a gang because I take care of myself. Didn't care who they were. If they were ABs, Crips, Bloods, I didn't matter. If somebody forced me in a hand that I had to take care of, I did. If I knew the leader of whatever group this particular person belonged to, I would go tell him I'm going to kill that bastard. I mean, that didn't matter if I was talking to the white guys or the black guys or whatever. But I can't understand how a person can hate. I'm not talking about dislike, but hate a whole race of people or two people. You know, I've seen groups where if you wasn't their race, you're all a piece of shit. And I'm not stupid, don't get me wrong. I know gangs are gangs and ways are ways, you know, but hell, you got black gangs fighting black gangs. You got the Nazis fighting everybody. Didn't matter who they are. And but I can't, in the bottom of my heart, I can't see that. And I can't understand it. That's the truth.
Well, I can tell you from my perspective,
Okay.
it's taught. It is taught. It is it is put into people. People don't come here that way.
No, because I see small kids play together and
Exactly.
no problem.
Little kids play together. They don't have a problem with one another.
Nope.
They it's just not a thing.
Right.
So
So what point does it get to be a thing?
when you're trained that way, and when somebody tells, so we
A
got
teenager, a grown up?
usually, I think it starts way younger than that, Pipe.
No,
Talk to me.
no, I don't mean to interject here, but
No, I want you to.
my thought process, number one.
Wait, I just want to make sure they can hear you. Can you guys hear Tony? Come up a little bit closer, Tony.
No, she needs to come forward, please.
Okay, yeah, it's a
Thank-
really
thank
important
you.
conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I really want.
So my thought process, number one, is it's a segment of the
Closer.
right? So whether it's the Aryan Nation, whether it's 18th Streets, whether it's the Asian gangs, it's the Black gangs, prison is built up of a segment of the population.
But it's the same thing outside.
What I'm saying is, just because you said, being in prison, you thought that you would know different, or you would not know. But it's prison is just a segment of the population. Those who are in prison are no different than a segment of me being in corporate America, or her being in entrepreneurship, or him being in trucking. It's just segments of the population, and we move and we commingle and coexist. We are taught that is ingrained in us. You say you see the kids in the same box,
Yeah, in the
and
park.
they all playing. But guess
Yeah.
what? When that little white girl is sitting there playing with that little black kid and that little Mexican kid, and their mother comes up and snatches the shit out of them and smacks them and asks them what are they doing, and explain to them that they can't, at that particular point in time, it's either me or you, right? That's being taught. That's being ingrained in them. You no longer speak for yourself. That's at 2, that's at 3, that's at 1, or taking a kid to watch a lynching. Have you ever seen the postcards where they put the lynching on the postcard? It's kids in those postcards.
Yeah, but it's
They're taught that.
okay. Let me stop you just for a second. Why is it got to be the white kid that they took out of the sandbox?
I'm just because
No,
I've seen
but-
it happen, but it has happened with black kids too.
Okay.
But from
Well,
my
say all
perspective-
kids. Don't just
Well, I'm just
say
it was
white.
just-
That's what gets me mad.
Well, from my perspective, my parents, my grandparents, my family always told me what I had to do to be in spaces with white people. When I got into those spaces with white people, it was the way that the white people treated me, and not so much as what my family was telling me. My family was telling me, go and behave and represent us the best way that you can represent us. But it's not, it could be any child.
Okay.
I'm just saying, it could be the Mexican child, it could be the black child, but I've never seen a black child snatched up out of a sandbox. But I have seen a white child snatched up out of a sandbox and told, don't play with those kids. It happened to me as a child.
I know my mom when I was small, 7, 8, 9.
Okay.
After 11, I was gone. She would beat my ass, and she'd stuff a damn bar of soap down my damn mouth.
Mhm.
If she heard me call somebody, I don't even like saying it.
Mm-hmm.
A derogatory term.
Right,
Okay. A racial derogatory term. Okay.
right.
Okay.
She would beat the shit out of me.
Okay.
And I think that's what made me, as a person, never see people like that.
Mhm.
That's exactly why. I want to say that is that and this was the thing. The reason you don't understand it, and Cheryl, I do see your hand, but the reason you don't understand it is because you were taught that didn't make any sense, and it was discouraged. Not only were you told it didn't make sense, but it was discouraged in a very forceful way in your life.
Yeah,
That right, okay, that you don't do that here. Just think if you were taught the opposite, right? And with the same force, right? That somehow you are you're going to be in trouble with me, the people that feed you and keep the roof over your head, if you go play with them kids of another race. Okay. There are people in this country that do that, and it's not just white people, but I will tell you this, all around the world. The issue has been and I said this to you guys, I think a couple weeks ago. I watched this movie with that Ava DuVernay did called Caste. And ultimately, the colonization of people that are not European descent has gone on all over the world, and they use the same tactics. Like right now, if you listen, you're going to hear the same conversation about conservatives and liberals. You're going to like all of these different things. You're going to hear all of the same things. You're going to hear issues about we don't want immigrants in all of these countries, all of the countries that are headed toward, they're either already now in autocracies and dictatorships. This is the same thing that they've been pushing. I watched a documentary a couple years ago called The Family, and it talked about how this was being spread by an organization of people all over the world. And the crazy thing is how they would get into these countries is through the International Prayer Breakfast. The International Prayer Breakfast. They get into these countries. You can see it on Netflix. But the reality is that people are taught, and the reason you don't understand it is because you were very forcefully told it's unacceptable as a very small child. Yeah. Right? So you don't have nothing to understand it. I don't hate you. You don't hate me. Okay. It's not that I've never been called out of my name. I'm sure it's not like you ain't never been called a hunky or none of that
Cracker.
stuff. Either cracker. I'm sure you've been called that multiple times too.
Look here, when I was a kid, and I'm not proud of it, but I went to school in Compton, and I ain't talking about when it was white.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm saying when there's only about 8 white kids in the school. I fought over the word cracker.
I'm sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I'd turn around and call him
right
a nigger.
Right.
So we both are gonna fight. You know, I mean that's all there is to it. But I know I was stupid. Because of the word cracker don't mean a goddamn thing.
Going home and eat something tonight.
Yeah, it's like you hear white trash. You know, like we're in categories. You know, different.
The caste system, yes.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
But then once I started going to jail, from the time I was 11, I fought a lot, but it wasn't over cracker. You know, it was over get off my goddamn feet when we're marching in line and, you know, different bullshit.
Right. So this is the thing, you know, the prison system operates very much on a caste system. They created, they did. And y'all, somebody gonna have to take over facilitating this discussion right now. Sorry.
Do you know they created it?
They also showed
no, they did create it. They created it. No, like you go to a different state and they mix prisoners. Don't matter what cell you go into.
Sure.
But you come to California, they separate you. What you do?
But I've seen separation in other states too.
I'm looking for
Not like they do in California.
In the Midwest.
Click the thing and see if you click
I've
the
seen
what it says.
separation. I've seen huge separation. With my cousin and my uncle were in prison. My cousin, his mom is white, his dad is black, but
Shit.
it's very, very fair. He was able to go into the cell.
We can't hear.
Oh, say what you gotta say, Cheryl.
I'll wait till Noreen. I want Noreen to talk on my stuff.
So they realized he was in there with his uncle, who was all black.
So somebody's talking and we can't hear.
In California, definitely is separatism. But I think it probably depends on, you know, where you are, but definitely other states have followed.
Well,
Sure.
you know, the biggest problem I seen, because now they want to put everybody in different cells.
Mhm.
Now, just before I left,
Yeah.
they put a Spanish guy in with a white guy. The Spanish guy told the white guy, I don't want no trouble. The white guy told him, cool. And soon as that white dude turned around, he killed him. You know? And then in the main section, if you let another race in your cell and you don't do something to that race, I don't care how tough you are, they're gonna kill you out there in the yard, in the shower. It ain't gonna be long before you get it. Yeah, but it was them who separated the races a long, long time ago.
Absolutely.
They made the bed that they're lying in right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now because it's not physical, whatever you call it, money wise, feasible. Now they want to do,
Race relations.
yeah.
Right.
Even though they're the one who set it up, and I don't know how many times, because I was a plumber inside, and I went building the building, and the officers never paid me much attention. And I've seen officers go to this group and tell them, hey, these guys are talking shit about you and y'all all bitches over here. But I knew what it was because it was close to the Christmas holiday. Any holiday, they want it locked down so they can get that overtime before that holiday came up. You know,
So that it effectively
they did it one time in Folsom, old Folsom. Well, the counselor's office is way up these stairs. And you got these long stairs that you sit on and wait.
Darius, you gotta mute yourself.
Oh,
They had cameras up there. They brought the Spanish, what do you call them? Anyhow, we're talking two Spanish different groups. They brought the one group out that wasn't a real heavy group in the prison. And they kind of hung out at the handball court. Then they opened up one building, which was twice the size of any building in the institution. Them guys came out, went around the building, got together. Then they went after the other guys, and in between them, walking over there, was cops. I mean, they would like arm distance away from the inmates. And then they started shooting. Soon as they ran over there and started fighting, the tower has been empty for years, where the old canteen used to be. They had a guy in there popping off shots. They had the towers around popping off shots. And all this shit, it was like watching a B movie. I was sitting on the benches waiting to go to work in front of one building. And it would be like me having this, one of them old time cameras. Me just, they're filming it. A lieutenant got a hold of a copy of it and took it to the news people to show how they set it up. That guy had to quit. Yeah, nobody would take no orders from him or nothing.
Sure, waiting on you.
Okay.
Yeah, start talking.
Yeah, thank you. So,
Go ahead, sweetie.
so when I was 16, I volunteered at Foundation at the Junior Blind, and they had a big poster with this little white guy and a little black guy with their arms around each other's shoulders, and it said the blind are also colorblind, and that's just the point of it, Pike, that it's a learned behavior most times. And it was a little girl across the street I used to play with, and it was only until I was old that I realized that when they used to come and tell me I needed to go back home, it was because her great grandmother was about to come out the house, who must have been in her 80s. And it was only after I was like a teenager that, because they moved away after more blacks started coming to the school. I had a schoolmate in the elementary named Janice Sandoval, who she had a birthday party, and she said to a girl in Spanish, she said, "Why did your daddy take you out of school?" And she said, "Because there's too many Negroes." I knew what that word meant, right? And so it's just a thing. I've been in prison with people who one girl, she was raised up in the mountains, had never seen black people, but she called black people niggers and stuff. And she called somebody one day, and that's when we were in Wasika, and Wasika had the men for 17 years. So they took that and they took everybody's pillows, make sure we didn't have shanks, but the girls don't do shanks. But I learned a long time ago how, and I'm sure it's the same in state, that the feds men do race by color. I mean, by race, they do time by race. And the counselor told me that if a Hispanic, a white, a black, and it's somebody else would ever get together at lunch at the same table, then you knew something was about to go down. And they had to give permission for it to happen. But that's something. And so when we got to Wasika, I said to the guys, because they had the men for 17 years, the women don't do time like men do. I said, a lot of these girls got babies by black men. They not about race like that, right? It was only that one girl who said that one time. So yeah, it's people teach that. You learn that. Thank you.
Absolutely, sweetie. And it's one of the it is truly taught and learned. And the tragedy is that it hurts both sides.
When I was a kid, small kid,
Mm-hmm.
most of Compton was white.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
And by the time I got to where I was going to jail permanently, it was like
Mixed, but mostly black.
No, mostly black.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All the whites moved.
Right.
My mother said she ain't moving nowhere.
Right.
She says, I like my neighbors, which she did, and I did.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a year before the Watts riots, my mom moved to Orange County with my sister, not over racial shit.
Mm-hmm.
Just
She's moved.
She moved. She moved into one of the big silver trailers you see, and then she bought a big expandable one. But my mom was in no hurry to leave, and then she sold the house. Right, 5 years later, my aunt just happened to die, Aunt Violet, her sister. The guy called my mom, and he says, "This house is still in your name." The guy was supposed to do the paperwork, didn't do the paperwork. So he told my mother, he says, "I will give you $500 if you sign these papers for me." And my mother says, "You're not going to give me a goddamn nickel. And I'll be out there because of the funeral, and I'll sign your papers.
Mhm.
But you paid me for that house. And you're not going to give me a nickel." That's the
Mhm.
way my mother was.
Right was right and wrong was wrong. She wasn't taking no extra money because he had already paid for the house.
Right.
Yeah. Well, see, the thing is that your mother clearly had
Morals.
integrity, you know, and she was,
Integrity, morals.
you know, and all of those things. So it wasn't for her, none of those things made sense. It's the same as my mom, right? So now I'm probably 10 years younger than you,
Yeah.
about maybe 15, because I'm 60 and you'll be 75. So I grew up in the projects, and it was primarily Black in the projects that I grew up in Philadelphia. But my mother worked with she worked for the phone company, which was AT&T at that time, which was one company all across the country. And she worked with a lot of white women and a lot of white people. And I had as many white aunts as I did Black aunts from the job. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we were not raised, you and I can just speak, you know, based on our conversations, we were not raised that the color of your skin meant anything, or that it did things. Now, it's not to say that I haven't experienced it. I'm sure it's not the truth. You explained times people called you cracker, right? But people are taught that, and the thing that concerns me is that what people use is poverty as the thing, as the hook to get people to hate somebody else. And this is how they do it. So this is the deal. So you poor white trash, according to you, that day you told us. Okay, some of y'all don't know, but one day we had a checkout, and when we asked him what he learned in that class that day, he told us he learned that he was poor white trash. We were like, what in the hell is he talking about? We didn't know what he was talking about. But anyway, so for the term, right?
Well, that's what came out in the meeting.
But anyway, so okay, so now you're a poor white person. I'm a poor Black person. But James is really running the show, even though he's asleep, right? So what I do is I tell you, James tells you that I'm your problem. I'm the reason that you're poor. I'm the reason you don't have shoes on your feet. I'm the reason that your kids don't have anything. I'm the reason that there's no money to invest in the schools to teach your kids. That's what James tells you. James tells me nothing because he don't have to talk to me about nothing, right? Because even on the totem pole, I'm lower than you, right?
Hey, James,
So
you're an ass.
No. The whole egg.
okay, okay. So the thing of it is that and then one of the ways that through history that they have been able to get people to buy into it is giving them a place in caste. And so that means if you're at the bottom of the bottom, for example, in India, they're called the untouchables. That means you don't physically touch them.
I thought that was the people that had what's that?
Leprosy?
Yeah.
No, for them is it
I
leprosy
always
was a
thought
part
that
of
was
it.
untouchable.
But in India, there is a whole caste of people, a whole group of people who were born into that caste system. And they're all Indians. They're all from India. Okay? But those people, they make them literally get into a pile of shit. It's just part of what they do is dehumanizes them and all of those things. And for that reason, you don't touch those people. Now, there are people right above that, right? They're not in the elite ruling class, but they're told that they're better than the people that are the untouchables. And the way you stay that way, and the reason is like that is because of whatever story they tell.
Well,
So
I seen a thing on TV about India. And they said that why people didn't move up was their people always worked in this level. And they weren't allowed to move up.
That's the caste system. They do not allow them to move up. And so, and that is what happens. They do it to a whole group of people. Okay. And right, in our taxes. Yes, and in the movie that I talked about, Origins, it explained and it showed how it's the same system, even though they would have you believe it's different. And people call it racism. It's really caste, and it better describes what is going on worldwide. Because in India, they all the same in terms of nationality.
Yeah.
But in terms of status, and because I have long believed that the issues and the things that people are doing here in America that they're fighting for is about the difference between rich and poor, haves and the have-nots. That the color thing was something they used as to tag onto it, but really it's more been, especially lately, it's been more about position and status and who has and who doesn't and who they want to have and who they don't want to have. And so this is one of the things that's crazy, because I've been thinking about it like for days, how, and I think I said it last week, Tony, or the week before maybe, and I was saying that what they don't understand is that you can't keep pulling from the bottom. You're like, no, they don't care. But to me, it is as stupid as anything. Gravity, there are laws of the universe that exist. If I start stacking all of these things on top of each other, and now it's up high, and I keep pulling things from the bottom, eventually everything on top of it is going to fall. Yeah, wow. That's just the way construction works. We don't build buildings from the roof down. We build them from the foundation up. Right? Trees grow from the root up. It's a lot of things in the universe to tell you that that's the way it should be. It goes from the bottom to the top. Well, even if, to me, what's stupid about the people at the top is you don't want the people at the bottom to have nothing. You don't even want them to be alive.
Say it again. Good Lord.
You know what I'm saying? You don't want them to have nothing. So as a result of that, but then they're the same people that need to pick your fruits. They're the same people when we talk in slavery, you would say how these people was animals and this and that, but you had them breastfeeding your babies. Mm-hmm. You had them caring for your children. You had them cooking your food. What kind of sense did that make? That'll tell you they didn't believe it. It was financially feasible. It was
color to it.
Exactly.
That's how we got the races that they attached.
Yes, to the cast. Yes, and that's what I believe happened, and that's why it's so prevalent everywhere. But you're going to find that hierarchy almost everywhere. Almost everywhere you go, no matter what country.
Well, wouldn't the people on the bottom of your tree, wouldn't they poison the roots, and then everything would die? Yeah,
right. So that's like suicide. So that's saying, well, I'm not gonna poison me. I'm not gonna poison myself. I'm not gonna kill off my kids. So I gotta at least try to do something. So at that point, yeah. I mean, now that's a theory, right? That's something that could. No. What I'm saying is, at some level, but the issue is that again, you'd have to kill off yourself and your own offspring, and that is not necessarily what people. You will find that more the exception than the rule of how people think. They're all, because the other side of it is there's always this notion that somehow I might get out of this particular position and raise up.
Always hope.
Always hope for the next level. And particularly with people who might be kind of middle class, they think, well, all you got to do is work hard and pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Well, what they forgot is the people at the bottom of the caste system, they took their damn boots. Mm-hmm. They don't have no damn boots. You see what I'm saying? So what they gonna pull up from, right? So but it's a whole process. And what I would like to do is I like anybody that's on here. Anybody speak up, say something. Anybody got any comments? Raise your hand. Let me know what's going on.
Yep.
Wait, I'm you know what? Okay, here I come, Miss Cheryl.
15. I'm gonna go like.
Okay, Cheryl, go ahead.
I just want to say that we had an officer that came to Dublin from Lompoc, and he said that so this is them perpetuating it. He said that they used to have the Crips fight all the time. He said they'd have the opposites, and that's so horrible to perpetuate that kind of thing in there when they're already in well, we already know that we're troubled going in by race anyway. So all right.
Yeah, and what it did, Cheryl, is you know, a lot of times they did that for sport. They did it for sport. Like right now, I just was
That's what
hearing
he
on the
said.
television.
Yeah. That's what he said they did. Because
Yeah.
they like to see him. Yeah.
And to see him fight, and you know, I saw in the news today where they are where Hamas was using rape of men and women as you know, in their war right now. And it's for sport. It's not about accomplishing anything. It's for sport. It is to be entertained, which is crazy when you think about it. But the thing that has to happen is you have to dehumanize the person that you're oppressing. So if I say to you, oh, they just an immigrant, or as oh, well, they're not the good people coming from other places. They're the criminals and this and that.
Hitler did it.
That is exactly how Hitler did it. And in the movie that I keep talking about, she correlated Hitler,
Right.
the people in India, and the United States as it relates to African people of African descent in America. And did you know in the movie she talked about how Hitler actually was looking at the laws.
Hitler was a Jew.
Well, and listen, we'll get to that in a second, but Hitler looked at the laws of the United States to figure out how to pass laws as they regulated African Americans here, to how he would set up things in Germany, right? So say it again.
Right.
Yes, and they set up laws based on what had been done here in America with African Americans. So Hitler, while you know America want to talk a mess about Hitler, y'all was training Hitler to do what he did.
Yeah, Hitler wasn't even a German.
And listen, and you know, it's really sad, but it is what it is.
Yes, he was.
And you know, let me tell you something. So when you say Hitler was Jewish, I didn't know that, but I will tell you this. It makes sense to me because what I find is that the people who are the most opposed to somebody else have such a self-hatred that it allows them to hate other people. So there's this guy that works, he worked in Donald Trump's administration. His name is Stephen Miller. And he is so anti-immigrant. And he's literally, I think, the second generation American. His like if it wasn't his parents, it was his grandparents that immigrated here. And you only talking, that ain't a whole bunch, but he's so anti-immigrant and all of these things. But it's really sad because I find there's so much self-hatred. And you will find most of your haters hate themselves. Write that down. Check it out. Most of your haters hate themselves. And that's why Don Miguel Ruiz is one of my favorite writers, because he says in the 4 agreements, usually if somebody's talking crazy to you, whatever, putting you down, all of those things, it has nothing to do with you. It has more to do with how they feel about themselves than it does how they feel about you. And so it's more important for you to pay attention to how they treat themselves, because that's going to show you how they will treat you. And so these are, you know, kind of the reasons why. But, you know, I hope that we've gotten some understanding. I want to, Chester, I'm going to start with you. And I'm going to ask you to weigh in for me. Wait a minute. Can you unmute? There you go. Uh-oh.
With me, I think it's this, I don't know, because sometimes I struggle with that, you know, how the ignorant, how people are, you know. It's hard for me to comment on that honestly right now, because sometimes I deal with that and it bothers me. So I know a lot of people is ignorant. They have to be more educated, and like you said, it's a lot of people that hate themselves inside. They're miserable, but sometimes I allow it get to me. So it's a hard topic for me sometimes.
Understood. Well, thank you for at least sharing that with us. I appreciate
Yeah.
it. You
All
know,
right.
thank you. And I don't want to say this. Thanks for your candor and your honesty in that regard. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I really appreciate that. It's something you're struggling with, so you're not trying to give nobody no advice that you can't live up to.
Yeah. Most definitely. Most definitely. So I
Can
gotta
I
walk
say
the
something?
walk and talk the talk. So
Can I
Yes,
say
sir.
something? I know
Wait a
I'm
minute.
late.
I'm going. Wait 1 second, Terrell. Give me 1 second. I'm coming right to you, sweetie, right now. First of all, what's up?
Man, busy, 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 busy.
Us.
But yes, but as far as that goes, it's like when you've been dealing with self-hatred for so long, and then you go through the system and see a whole different type of self-hatred. And then you see, I was just talking to somebody about this earlier. This the war, the spirit for good and evil is as cold as a piece of work. But then when you go inside, where all them walls is just oppress, 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 oppress. That's when people who are stand-up people get right with the creator. And then when they get right with the creator, they have a better bond and sense of who they are and who they surround themselves with. You can tell the fools that watch TV, play cards, don't do nothing, don't better themselves, because they stay stuck in the same mode. So when you elevate yourself, you awake yourself, you evolve, and you surround yourself around them type of people, you're gonna see the difference. You know what I mean? And therefore, when you see those people who don't like themselves and hate themselves, they gonna stay away from you, but you gonna know to stay away clear from them too. You know what I mean? And then being in society, and this is how I train myself in prison to come out here on the streets and do this. Because in prison, I'm isolated. I can't leave around them people. I'm gonna be around them people. I can't shake them. So I got to know how not to fuck with them. You know what I'm saying? So now in a free world, you don't have to see some of these people, but even if you do have to go to work with them or be around them, just know how they are and don't let they self-hate sink into you. Don't attach their stuff to you and just know how they are. Just play it how it is. But it's a lot of bad energy out here, a whole lot of bad energy. And you cannot let that energy get into you or attach itself to you to where it pulls you down, because it's
I
a whole
call it
lot of
staying
ignorant,
sucker free. Terrell, I call it staying
and I
sucker free, baby.
and I call it a state of I call it addicted to nothingness, because a lot of people are addicted to nothingness. They don't want nothing. They don't want you to have nothing. And if you got something, they want to take it from you and break you down to nothing. So they addicted to nothingness. They don't want nothing in them lives. They toxic. They cancerous. They don't care. So them the people you don't want to be around. So like I said, when you see those type of people and you know they don't love yourself, they self, you just do not attach to that. You know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely.
that's what it is.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
awesome.
So
Yeah,
that's my take on it.
thank you. Appreciate that.
All right.
Mr. Hilton, talk to me.
You're talking about something that's been around so long. It's so rooted in our lives and so rooted in our families. It's something that it's a hard topic. I mean, uh, when you deal with individuals that are fake, I call it fakeism. Okay, they fake it and they shake it, and until they get your attention, they're not going to stop. If you let them, I call them triggers. If you let them flick that trigger, then you got something to work about inside yourself.
Yeah.
I had trouble all my life letting people flick them triggers. And sometimes I acknowledge them today. All right. I've had a few of them flick my trigger today. And I just went quiet on them. I have to get right with myself first. We all know what time it is. We live in weeds. These weeds are not the same, but we have to live together cohesively. in order for us to survive. As
We're
a
definitely
human,
better together than apart.
yeah, as a human race, yeah, as a human race, we have to keep it together. And as far as Hitler's concerned, he's half and half. That's a guaranteed fact. Look up the history.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not interested in talking about that guy. But the fact of the matter is, that's what he is. But now, when we look at reality and look at racism, man, it's rooted. It is so rooted in the world. It's just isn't. It ain't right here in South Central LA, or it is not just here in Watts. It's just not right here. It's all over the world. And when you see it, it's mixed in different ways. And it's weird when you see it because you're not used to it. We're getting people from all over the world now coming to our country. And when you see that, it's like, wow, that's something new. It just slipped right in underneath you. And it's like, it's there though. You see it, you spot it, but they're hiding it. That's the worst thing. When you hide,
Elaborate on that, because I don't understand. Elaborate what you mean when you say they're hiding it.
When you hide it, when a person hides what they really are,
Oh,
that's called, I call it a time bomb.
Well, it's like when people when they passed, when African Americans or people passed something else.
Exactly.
Yeah. So they're hiding. They really are. And let me tell you something. All of it has been rooted in power, control, and economics.
True.
That's the very bottom of it. So when people were passing, it was so they could feed their families and they
government.
Could have a better quality life. And so, but I understand what you mean, because at first I didn't understand what you meant about hiding it. But I get it. Yeah.
Let me share a little history of me, right? Mm-hmm. My father, my mom's father is full-blooded Cherokee. Okay. Now down the road, we had also full-blooded Cherokees, okay, in our family. Well, a long time ago, when it came time for for all Indians to register, she was so ashamed of being who she was because she was so beat down by the government and by the world. She wasn't about to stand up and say, yeah, I'm Cherokee.
Right.
So she didn't register.
Mm-hmm.
So I find out later down the road, as when I start digging into my heritage, my and I go, wow, that's really strange, because that's what I see in the world today. People are so ashamed mostly of what they really are. And then you get individuals who will play on that and make it worse. All right. And that's oppression. That's oppression.
It is.
And that's the part that I was trying to get to.
Stop you right there and say one thing, and that is, when you talk about the shame, it will cause you to do things. And I know that it is something that people who come home from prison deal with often. And I want to say, anybody listening, do not let the fact that you've been in prison make you ashamed.
No, you can't.
You cannot be ashamed of it. It happened.
Nope.
Get over it. Don't walk around in shame, because if nothing else, even whatever you did your time. You served your time.
Yeah.
You've paid your debt to society, right? Because shame will cause you to function in a way, like you say, cowering in some ways.
Right.
It also will open the door for people to take advantage of you.
Yeah, you'll start hiding it. Right. Yeah. Okay. You see, the thing is, when you talked about a lot of things tonight, a lot of people chimed in on a lot of different things. The causative factors of gangs. Mm-hmm. Look at the causative reasons why gangs even exist. I don't have that knowledge. Poverty. But look at that. Thank you. Hello?
Poverty.
There's a reason.
Poverty.
Hello? No. Yeah. And so when you start looking at other factors too, about matters of home, in the home, things ain't working out right. They're getting more love on the street than they are at home. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of reasons. But the thing is, you guys touched upon so many different topics tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just sitting here saying, wow.
You know what? And let me tell you something. I'm going to tell you that I'm really, I'm super proud of us for having this conversation.
Yeah.
Because the reality is that if I as a person born of African American descent. I know
Right.
Indians on my side, my grandmother's side, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever I am, people see me as an African American woman.
Yeah.
If we have this of blood type and certain things like that, you can take my organs. That ought to tell you to save your life. That ought to tell you that we all the same. On
Yeah.
the side is all the same.
Hello.
It doesn't matter, and how silly it is to put it. But again, it's not for the reason that people think. It is because of this system of people who want control.
Right.
It's economic. And
Yeah.
that's where it goes. But I appreciate your perspective, and I want to move and give some other folks an opportunity
Absolutely.
to. Rufus, I'm gonna come to you now, sweetie, and see if you have any comments on the topic.
Well, I'm sorry because I missed people was pulling me here and pulling me there, so I kind of missed majority of
Okay,
the bulk
that's
of the
all right.
conversation. But I did. If I can talk about what the topic was about, and
Okay.
I heard a little bit about the beginning of it, and I just think that when he was talking about race and all this stuff, we people are indoctrinated into that mindset and that belief. You know what I mean? The same way as when we start, like you said, gangs and being involved in gangs. Like I had a need for acceptance. You know what I mean? And my need for acceptance is what motivated a lot of things that I did. Because once I got the the acceptance and the, I won't say the praise and the accolades, but in so many words, once I got that, I wasn't willing to let that go. You know what I'm saying? For nothing. And like I said, I shot some females from a rival gang, and my thing was, when we was gang banging, it was like, oh, let's give them a pass because he with his girl or whatever the case may be. Why I couldn't do that? You know what I mean? And these females was my company. You know what I'm saying? And like I told her, we can hang out as long as you don't diss no Crip sets, because she was a blood and her friend was blood. So, but when she's, made a comment against, gangs or whatever, it was like, I told you, don't do that. And I'm not finna play captain for lack of a better word. I'm not finna play captain, save a hole. Whatever happens, happens. Because I told you. You know what I mean? And my thing was, why couldn't I be a stand-up guy and stand up for these people especially when they came, to visit me? You know what I mean? And it boils down to that need for acceptance. My need for acceptance was so strong that it didn't matter. But I do have to say, growing up, there was no difference between male and female in the gang, as far as I was concerned, and as far as my gang mentality. You know what I mean? But at the same time, where was my empathy for in that way, or respect for women in that way, that I couldn't, that I didn't stop all that. You know what I mean?
And what it did, it was what we talked about earlier, and that was the self-hatred. It was what you didn't like about yourself,
right,
that made your need for that acceptance outweighed their humanity. It
it
allowed
did.
it allowed
Right,
you to dehumanize them,
right,
ways you could not
absolutely,
otherwise have done that,
right,
so that you could have the acceptance. And this is where you probably missed the example where I was saying, the people at the top that are oppressing and doing those things, in the caste system, they make sure that the people at the bottom, at the different levels at the bottom,
yeah,
I don't want to be at the lowest level, right?
right,
And they
right,
keep them fighting against each other as if this level of caste and really the difference. So these are the two levels at the bottom, and then you got
right,
this much room from what's at the top, right? So you have
right,
this huge gap between who's at the top, and it's a very small, but it's all about their control. But as
exactly,
long as I can make this person in this level feel better than this person, and
right,
they want, because they're thinking maybe sooner enough they'll accept me as part of their class. They're never
right,
going to do that, right?
right,
So
right,
what they do is they dehumanize both classes, because there are people in the upper echelon who were born into it that know better, that they're not superior. They know they're not superior.
Right.
Know that they're not that they haven't done anything to earn this particular spot. But
Right.
what happens is their fear of being put out of that place
Right.
causes them to dehumanize. Once they
No,
dehumanize at
no,
the bottom,
right. You talking the same thing, which is I didn't want to let that go, so I was willing to go
that's
wherever.
exactly
Yeah,
right.
so you're right, and that's
Because
why
that's what happens.
I understand that the pull of that need for acceptance, and
Yes.
you know
And think about this. Think
it's
about this.
powerful.
Think
It's
about this,
powerful.
Rufus. Think about this, Rufus. It's also usually people in their family. The people that birth them, the people that feed them, the people that keep the roof over their head, the only families that they know. Just like for you, the gang was a place of acceptance. That was the family you knew. You wasn't
Right, and
letting that go for these random old hussies, whoever they was. I told
yeah,
you behind the, you know what I'm saying?
right,
It is
right,
what it
right,
is. Gang
right,
recognized gang. You knew what it was when you showed up here. I
right,
told you.
right, right,
Cockeyed ass
right.
wrong. Cockeyed ass
Yeah,
wrong. Just wrong.
yeah.
But it was what it was.
It's
That was the
right. I
mentality
agree. I
because
agree. I agree.
what you needed, it was a basic need of yours, that belonging. You needed
Right.
to
Because let
belong.
me say this real quick.
Yep.
Because and it all came from, like I said, growing up, I was the only dark one in my family. I'm the only one that's born in California. And they used to always say, "Hey, we found you on the way," because they all from Texas. They also always say, "Hey, we found you on the way to California." So I always told myself, when I want friends that don't judge me. And that's where it all came from. When you said it starts in home and all that, it started in my home. I see the whole picture. I
Yeah.
went through the whole gamut of it, and I understand it now. And
Yeah.
that's what made me a stronger person. So
Make you a
yeah,
better person. And
yeah,
you're a very positive person at this point.
right,
And the
right,
thing that I have always appreciated about you, Rufus, is your honesty. Is that you will tell the truth even if it don't make you look good. You know what I'm saying? You have grown tremendously, trust me. Because you've always, ever since you started, you've always been joined, you've always been in that way. So I appreciate that. Did uh-oh, you woke up? Okay, wait a minute, hold up. Okay, wait a minute. Uh-oh.
I remember back in the days when I used to go visit my auntie, and we used to go outside and play. And you like the little girl down the street or around the corner or at the rec center. And she always used to tell us, "Don't bring a girl home, she can't use my comb." And that was a form of racism.
What did that mean? So did that mean if she couldn't use her comb, did she have straight hair, curly hair? What was it? What?
If she wasn't a black woman,
Oh,
don't bring her to my
You didn't figure that
oh,
out.
what? No, you see how
You know, that was a form of racism
uh-huh.
that was indoctrinated and nurtured.
Yes.
It wasn't just indoctrinated; it was nurtured
And fed. Yes.
And that's where it actually gets us in trouble. It's not just the indoctrination of it. See, I can indoctrinate you to not like peas, but when it's nurtured
And fed and it
and
grows.
fed in the family and constantly reiterated to you as a child, don't bring her home if she can't use my comb.
Mm-hmm.
Or that hot rope.
That was
the stinkiest thing.
That was
I don't care.
Wait, no, listen.
That was
Let James finish. I want to tell you something about him.
That was a piece of life that I had to get over,
Mm-hmm.
that I had to fight against,
Mm-hmm.
because here I am, this woman's telling me something against me because on my father's side, I'm Asian and black.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you telling me that when I go see my grandmother, that I can't bring home my cousins.
Right. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that was a real big part of racism that I had to really understand and get over at a young age, because my best friend played football with me and he was an Asian.
Mm-hmm.
My other road dog was Indian,
Mm-hmm.
Native American. My uncle ain't never married a woman that was black.
Mm-hmm.
All his women from different parts of the world. So he had kids by all these different women. And I used to ask her, I said, well, what you gonna do when Uncle John bring his kids over? And she said, well, they're my nephews. I said, no. You said if they can't use your comb, don't bring them home.
Mhm.
You know, and she kind of had to eat her own words. But when you look at her children, they're some of the most racist Black people I've ever met, to the point to where I don't even deal with them. Because when I go there, I feel like an outcast. I know what it feels like to be an outcast, other than the natural norm of walking in a room and as the only Black man in there, and I'm not no little Black man, I'm a big Black man. And I'm in there with like,
How about getting in the elevator and they clutch their purses?
no, that's
A classic,
big
right?
stuff.
A classic is just all the things that happen in them circumstances.
And it really, 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 really bothered me, because I'm listening to everybody, even though my eyes closed, I'm listening to everybody and what their experiences was with racism.
Mm-hmm.
We all have it.
Uh-huh.
We all have our preference.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, whether it be the road rage, whether it be in the store, well, why the fuck are you here? You should go back to your own country. Well, shit, none of us really have a country. You know what I'm saying? We all born here. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I mean by not just indoctrination.
The nurture.
It's the nurturing part.
Absolutely.
That gets us in trouble.
The
To
only
feed
ones
it.
could really say that is Indians.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Get your ass out of my country.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's the only one I know. What race has the right to tell other races get the hell out?
Right.
Yeah.
But wait, so this is what I want to share with you, Roberta. I never forget one time in a group, Pike told me that one of his favorite smells was the pressing comb on a Sunday morning growing up in Compton. And what was her name? Aunt Corrine?
Aunt Corrine.
Aunt Corrine was a Black lady, lived down the street from him and used to press hair on Sunday morning.
Yep.
And that was that's one smell that makes him feel happy. And he talked about how it stink. He feel at home, so we're gonna get us a pressing comb, and we're gonna make sure he always at home is press somebody's hair. You know what I'm saying?
I didn't say that smelled good.
You just said it. You just said it stink. You just said it stink, right? And Roberta was like, "Wait a minute." I was like, "No, but he know it stink. But know this, that's one of his favorite smells. It's nostalgic for him, and it makes him feel at home. Darius, Darius, you with me, sweetie? I want to just get you to check in and your comments. How you doing today?
I'm blessed. Let me see. Check in wise. I got a new position. Well, I got a new title now.
What we're doing is we checking out at this point. I want to make sure you know about your any comments on the topic. I know you've been here for a minute.
I've been just listening.
Okay.
I've been just listening to what everybody been saying, and for me, I deal with racism through cops on the streets at a young age. Always being robbed by them, beat by them, and stuff like that. So, I kind of got over it, but I ain't over it though.
You still some scars.
Oh, it's always gonna be some scars. I'm still a little jumpy when I see him anyway.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, Darius is one of the reasons why we do this group, because there are a lot of different scars that came. The mass incarceration, it didn't start the day you got locked up. It started with you before that, right?
Yeah.
Robbing and beating and different things that they did. So certainly I can understand that, but I just wanted to give you an opportunity if there was anything in particular you wanted to say. But thank you for being with us and joining us this evening.
Yes, I was running late today. I get off at 4:30 now, so now this is a new experience for me, getting off at 4:30 instead of 12:30 in the morning.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thanks for being here. Otis, I don't think I gave you an opportunity to have your comments.
Well, Doreen, I grew up in a different kind of family. We came from Oklahoma, Arkansas. My family did. I was born in Los Angeles in St. Mary's Hospital, and so was my brothers and sisters. But all my relatives came from Oklahoma and Arkansas, and they started off like Cherokee too. I'm like 1/8 of a Cherokee, but my family, I don't know what happened. When I was growing up, my cousin and I, we used to walk up and down Bell Gardens when we were kids, and we separated. And I went to Bakersfield and started living in Bakersfield, and raised a different way of country life. And my cousin Paulie, they call him Sasquatch, but he lived in Compton all his life, and he was a Compton Crip. But then my uncle was the Aryan Brotherhood. Then my brother started off in Mafia, and I didn't want to be anything, so I just stayed with just myself as a country boy. Never put a tattoo on my body, and just kind of lived a peaceful life. I didn't hate no one. I wasn't prejudiced because I grew up out in Lamont, Little Tijuana, and Southsiders, and I grew up with all kinds of brothers out there, and even the blacks, and there was a few Asian people out there. But I didn't have any of that kind of stuff back, big Biden hatred and all that bigotry. We went horseback riding. I grew up with Lonnie Shelton. We used to play for the Lakers. We went to high school together. I went with a couple of guys. They joined the football team out of LA, and the Raiders and the Miami Dolphins, and now they're dead. They're gone. And I'm almost 72 years old, and I've seen so much war and bigotry and hatred over nothing, just really stupidity. You're in prison. I've seen a lot of bigotry and hatred in that, and a guy owes a suit to somebody, and you don't pay him, you get beat up or stabbed. That's kind of really ridiculous and stupid. I would have gave him a case of soups if he needed it. But we are descendants from our grandparents and our family members and all that stuff. We just don't understand what we were taught back in them days. Like Jen was talking, you don't bring home another race out of your house. And that's kind of really ridiculous. We're all the same blood. The skin color or the nationality shouldn't matter to anyone. Just be
Indeed.
happy and enjoy your life.
You're fortunate that you didn't have that you weren't raised and that you didn't take all and ingest all of that hatred and all of that kind of and bigotry and stuff like that, because it's really a waste of energy, and like you said, it's silliness, and it doesn't really amount to anything, but it's just a blessing for you that you didn't walk around with that, because you have to, as James said, you have to nurture that, you have to feed that in order for that to continue along. So it's just a blessing for you that you didn't take all that on. So I just want to say thank you for sharing your thoughts, and I'm going to let the folks here uh, do some checkout. So, Di, I want to start with you. Any thoughts on the topic and anything? Bend down a little bit.
The only thought I had on the topic is just sad that people really waste their time and their life on racism, because at the end of the day, we all need each other, and that's all I have to say.
Yeah, that's true. Roberta, coming up, Mama.
That's a good saying too.
Yep.
Thank you. You treat people how they treat me across the board. Like no matter what color you are. If you treat me a certain way, that's what you're gonna get back.
Right. Wonderful. Tony, speak up.
I think for me, looking in the eyes of racism and seeing so many different levels. Like I said initially, I've been in the playground with a child that was snatched up out of the playground because they were playing with me, and I had so many questions. And we're talking about late 60s, early 70s. I had so many questions that went so unanswered for me. And it was, all of these different levels of trauma that I went through navigating that process, because then it's like, well, if you hate me, then I hate you too. And then, in encountering children of other races and being given a platform to just actually sit there and have a conversation, I found and then the things that happened, it's perpetuated in the household. My grandmother told me, you love everybody. And my response was, how do I love someone who doesn't love me? And she was like, you love them anyway. But, I was a hard ass. And I was like, yeah, I'm not about to love that person. And they calling me out my name. Then I had to learn about the breakdown of the racism. Like you said, the caste system, the haves, the have-nots, redlining. So many, for me, there's so many layers. This just really like touches the surface. But I was able to bring myself back around in middle school and in high school where, I was bused to the valley, but I had the pleasure of really going to a very great high school that fostered individuals' identity and allowed me to, be more comfortable. But then you get out in the world and you get to experience, this and experience that, and you're like, damn, like are you really mad at me because I'm Black?
Yeah.
Or you mad at her, I've been told, oh, hate that group or hate this person. And I think like James, added the fostering of it. It's not just the indoctrination, it's not just the initial, but it's all the fostering of it, because I've heard many people say, she can't use my comb. Many mothers say, if she can't use my comb, don't bring her home. And, it was cute and it was funny. And then it was, oh, that's what reverse racism is. We practiced in reverse racism because of the way that we were treated. But then two wrongs don't make a right. An eye for an eye makes everybody blind, and so on and so forth. So I think you have to come out on the other end as the individual to say, am I going to really dislike somebody because of their color?
Yeah.
Especially as a Black person, then I'm treating people exactly how I don't want to be treated.
Yeah. Which is really not good. James, any final comments from you?
Nah, just long as we understand that we're an example, and the only way we can do is reach one, teach one at a time, and just stay focused and keep moving. I talk to everybody. Just now in the parking lot, the guy pulled up next to me, essay guy, and he tapped on my door and he said, man, tell my son that United States is going to shit. And I said, yeah, it's going to shit because of the economy, the interest level, and all this. I said, it ain't about the people. I said, it's about the economy. It's about the way the people view rich and poor. That's why everybody want to leave the United States now. They want to come here and get their money, but they want to send it all home where they can live a prosperous life. And so I was telling you, man, it's not the people. It's the economy.
Well, and it's the system that keeps everything, that keeps it right where it is. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's little. What happened?
I closed down my 99 cent stores. My doctor, see, I'm really hurt.
Right.
Because people really don't make money everybody don't make a decent living in the world, but a lot of people do shop at the 99 cent store to take care of themselves and their children. And that's not fair, because what are they gonna do now? You know what I'm saying? How am I gonna feed my baby come on, it's really hard already. But if I'm trying to make it and do right, you wanna shut that down too?
And that's the part to me.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. And you wait to get to it. I was waiting to get to a higher tax bracket. I couldn't wait till I hit 75,000, and then I hit 100,000, and then when I hit it, it was like, wait a minute, you're gonna take more taxes from me.
Exactly.
So what I made, I'm not being able to get is still that system. I just was having a conversation 2 days ago about what are people gonna do who can't afford to live because they solely live on the things.
You can't restore. Come on.
And that was the thing that I'm saying, is that the stupidity of the people at the top of the cast,
Right.
is that you wouldn't continue to allow, you would not fight to make sure that those kinds of things were available, because guess what? If I'm dead, malnourished, can't get up and do nothing, I can't even serve you. You see what I'm saying? To me, that doesn't make any sense. That's just dumb. It's like you cutting off your nose to spite your face, when in reality, like I never dreamed to be a billionaire. I never felt like I needed that kind of money. I just want some basic things. I want to be able to feed myself, keep a roof over my head, some clothes, And heavens knows when it get hot, I need a fan. Okay, it's real simple. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we the sleep sisters. Look at us. Look at us. We the sleep sisters.
Get back up to go back to sleep.
Oh, what a great day it is when we can do that, right?
Gotta come outside.
Stay in the rest, baby. Stay in the rest. So that's the thing. So now listen, I want to give, but that's the thing. We right? So now I want to give, okay, you straight? Okay.
He said the conversation, Mr. Dorsey's been talking a lot all day. I'm let you see him. He said he's been talking a lot all day, but the conversation was enlightening for him. Is that what you said? Okay,
Wonderful. Thank you. Ben, any final comments from you?
Yes, that's a good conversation.
Yeah.
I like it. And I think many things.
Good.
I remember one of the good things I think about it is we are one.
Say it again.
We are one.
Yes.
Not to love people to everyone.
Yeah.
We cannot separate, right? We have to.
No. Awesome.
I want you to close out before me.
Okay, so for me, obviously, I've had a lot to say today about the topic. It's just crazy that he brings this up because after having watched that movie, it's been on my mind recently, and how it really is literally all about economics. And the positions of power and who gets to decide what's acceptable and that kind of thing. So, but I will say this. I am extremely proud of those of us that are in this conversation right now. And the reason I say that is because people are not usually able to have this conversation without people getting mad with each other. They're not normally able to sit here and reason and explain the differences and how they've been dealt with and things like that, and have these conversations in a civil, productive way. And I just want to say that I'm proud of all of us on Free to Heal tonight for being able to have this conversation. And I want to thank Mr. Pike for raising it. And as such, I'm going to allow him to have the last checkout. And before I do that, I want to say, make sure that you check us out on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all social, Twitter, everything that is any social media. And by all means, watch some of the videos, leave comments. If there's a topic that anybody listening wants us to discuss, like this topic didn't come from me. This topic came from a participant, and I think it was productive. I think it was powerful. And I think we all will leave with something more to think about as well. So I just thank you guys for being here, Free to Heal tonight. And I'm going to let Mr. Pike close it out.
A lot of you don't know me. I have lung cancer, and they say I don't have long, but hell with them. But I've always asked God for one thing, and if He ever grants me that thing, every one of you son of a guns are gonna wake up green.
And with that, that's another great session of Free to Heal, and we'll see you guys next week, okay? See you guys.